I absolutely love barbecue ribs. Along with spaghetti bolognese, it's my favorite dish. When I was growing up in Chicago, we went to a spectacular rib place called Carson's The Place for Ribs. Those of you who are in the Chicago area, you'll still know it. I don't know if it's still around, but it was really a legend, iconic, and I loved it when I was growing up.
For a truly enjoyable lunch or dinner, come to Carson's and find out why Carson's has the best ribs and steaks in town.
My father also, he's a terrific cook. He would make ribs too. He'd make them in the oven or he'd make them on the grill. So what we'll do today is, on account of the cooler weather, we're going to be doing our ribs in the oven with a technique that I'll show you that's really, really easy. So without further ado, let's jump into it. These ribs are going to be wonderful. First thing we have to do is turn on our oven, of course. I'm turning it on to 150 degrees Celsius. So we'll get that fired up. Okay, and here are our spare ribs. Beautifully marbled. And let's talk about what you do with fat. Now, I would be very careful in not cutting off too much fat. I mean, you can take this off if you wish. I'm going to leave it on. I just think it's perfect. I already, in fact, prepared the meat. I mean, if you find that you have too much fat, cut it away, but I think that they're just perfect. What is, however, very important is what the Germans call Silberhaut, which is a membrane, or actually it was very difficult to translate. It's connective tissue, which is at the back of your ribs. And that has to come off. So I've already had to work hard. Sometimes it's a little bit tricky because you have to find it. You can use a spoon on the edge, but you have to pull it off, and it requires a little bit of strength. Why do you do this? You do this because you want your ribs to be seasoned throughout. I mean, this membrane here, it prevents the seasoning from going through. So we'll just pull this off. I've already started it. It was a little bit difficult to find. Use a paper towel and you have more grip, you have more strength. Or if you have gloves, they work just as well. And as you can see, I've got a little bit of fat here that I can cut off, right? Because there's no meat in there really. So that can be cut off. And our ribs are perfect. They are ready to be rubbed. Regarding the rub, you can buy one, which makes things easy. So in my own spice rub, which I've concocted, I've got salt in here, I've got pepper, I've got sweet paprika, a little bit of smoked paprika to give it a bit of smoke flavor. Even you would use smoke flavor if you want to do your dry rub as well. You can buy it. And also some brown sugar, very important, and some garlic powder. So we're going to first take some oil, just a little bit of oil, because that'll ensure that our just that much, not much more. Yeah, just a little more. And there you have it. Okay, and here goes my spice rub. Just spread it liberally. Actually, I had this left over because I did pulled pork the other day. As you remember, I also did pulled pork in episode 13 with the American coleslaw. Rub it along liberally on one side. The oil enables you to really get it in there. And then we're going to leave our ribs sit for a few minutes. The earlier you rub your ribs, say the night before, it's even better. You know, the spice really becomes absorbed. And then to the other side, you know, half on one side, half on the other, basically. Okay, our oven is fired up. It's ready to go, 150 degrees Celsius without the convection setting. And our ribs are rubbed. And like I said, it would be just even better if you let them sit for about 30 minutes longer, however you want to. But we're hungry, so we're going to put them in the oven right away. And this method is just, it's absolutely wonderful. We're going to put them in this pan here. And this pan has its own rack. Underneath comes some liquid. In this case, we're going to use fresh apple juice, pure apple juice. So we're going to just put in some apple juice here. Oh, actually, remove this first. Put in some apple juice there, just like so. How much is that? That's maybe about 200, 300 milliliters. And then we're going to put in a stalk of rosemary. And I have 2 small cloves of garlic, which I have pressed. The trick here is that the ribs, they're going to cook with the apple juice. Put the ribs on top, just like so. And we're going to cover this with aluminum foil. Yeah, and as I was saying, I'm just wrapping this in aluminum foil to cover it. Make sure I've done this right. Yes, I have. Make sure that it's well sealed and that the foil does not touch the meat. This is now going to go in the oven for 2 hours and 30 minutes, maybe a little bit less. I'm going to check them after 2 hours. So that's all you have to do. Into the oven it goes. We're going to make our own barbecue sauce. I highly recommend you do this. I've now seen, of course you can buy your favorite barbecue sauce, please don't get me wrong, but I've seen how the prices have really gone up. And barbecue sauce is essentially, just like with our coleslaw, flavored ketchup. So what I do is, and this is a little bit more intricate, I have to say. There's another recipe that I could do that doesn't require all this work, but I like to do this because we have the time. I pour in 200 milliliters of apple juice as a first step, and we're going to bring this to a simmer, and we're going to let that simmer for about 15 minutes. It's been simmering for about 10 minutes, and we've just wanted to reduce it a bit from 200 milliliters to about 130. And now we're going to go into the next step. So just take it off the heat, or turn the heat off, and then we're going to put in our ketchup. Here I have 200 grams, a little bit more of ketchup, which goes in there. Take your whisk, like I did with, right? Here I have 2 tablespoons of apple vinegar, goes in there. Good match with the apple juice. 1 tablespoon of Worcester sauce. And another very important ingredient is your mustard. Here I have semi-hot mustard. The German's called Mittelscharfsenf. It's like a Dijon mustard. You can use Dijon. Here I've got a good tablespoon. I have a lot of maple syrup. So I'm going to put in about 2 tablespoons of maple syrup to get that sweetness and the caramelization. And now let's get into the spices. Here I have 1/2, I didn't go with 1 teaspoon, but 1/2 of a teaspoon of smoked paprika. And then I actually, unfortunately, dumped the cumin over the sweet paprika. So 1/2 of a teaspoon of sweet paprika. I just wanted to make sure that it's more even keeled. I don't like things to dominate so much, but that's fine. That's going to go in there as your spice. And the cumin gives it kind of a more smoke, more of a barbecue flavor. 1/2 of a teaspoon of garlic powder and 1/2 of a teaspoon of onion powder, and also a little bit of cayenne for some heat, for more heat that you have. Just put it in there. You can see we're already getting kind of the consistency that we want, but it does have to congeal. It has to get thicker. And that's why it's going to be on the fire, on the heat, for at least another 10 minutes. Has the right consistency. It's been simmering for, see, now it's nice and thick, as it should be. It was simmering for about 10 minutes. I've seasoned it just the way I want to. I added a little bit more ketchup. It has a nice bite after you try it. So we're going to let it cool, and we're going to check in with our ribs in about 20 minutes. Okay, our ribs have been in there for about 2 hours and 20 minutes. I'm taking them out so that we can do the last step, which will be the barbecue sauce step. Take them out. Yeah. Looks wonderful. So let's put this on the grill function here. 200. Good. Okay, now we're going to slather in our homemade barbecue sauce. Now I'm going to do this just in 1 step, but they recommend that you do it in 2 steps. 15 minutes each. But slather it on liberally. That goes in the oven. Here on the top rung, and we're going to get a nice grill on that. The moment of truth has arrived. After 2 hours and 45 minutes, our barbecue spare ribs, barbecue back ribs are finished. And I've already prepared our coleslaw. So let's cut our ribs. Oh, that sounds beautiful. Okay, let's put them on the... Get them all. So here's our meal. They're nice and tender, a coleslaw, and we're absolutely delighted. We want to eat. So I will say a quick word of goodbye. Thank you so much for tuning in to Cooking with Jan. I just completely enjoyed this episode. I've been wanting to do it for some time. This is one of my favorite dishes, as I mentioned. Until we meet again, as Jacques Pepin says, happy cooking.